Still can't hear you. Let's check if Peter can hear. Peter, are you there?
Testing.
Can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I hear you. It was going to my VR headset. That's why.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Natasha.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining. Hey, Avinash, Elise.
Howdy.
Natasha, I just saw the email on the Friday. That looks amazing from the Humanity Plus on Second Life. That was so cool.
Oh, thank you.
I've got to jump on again.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I mean, it's like going through history, looking at, God, some of the amazing projects we held in the metaverse going back to the 1990s. It's unbelievable. I'd like to put it all together and create a movie.
Oh, that'd be so cool. I mean, I think the fidelity of it is, as you've seen from the metaverse announcements from Facebook, like you're getting photorealistic holograms now. So
I know. And then to think about all the different avatars that we took on, it's just so much fun. Yeah.
That's so awesome. Oh, we've got David here joining as well. Hey, David.
Hey, David.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning.
Good night. It sounds
And
like
good night.
Oh, that movie.
Yeah, Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey, yeah.
It feels a bit
Good
like
evening,
that.
good morning, good afternoon, good night.
The Truman Show. Oh,
The
dear.
Truman Show. Oh my God. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining both. And maybe we'll just do a quick round of room. Elise, do you want to do it? Introduce yourself?
Yes,
It's
hi.
only at the top of the hour. Do
Hi.
you want to wait a few minutes for others to turn up?
Yeah, we will.
More?
We will. Hi, Jabu. How you going? Oh, sorry, we can't hear you. I think you're on mute there. Yeah, it'll give us a chance to test all our audio visuals. Thank you for joining, Jabu.
Hi, Javu. Should we start intros or wait a bit?
Nice to meet you, finally.
I know. It's such a pleasure and honor to have the Humanity Plus board members, executive directors here, and David from London Futures. We've got Dr. Avinash Singh as well here, who's the chair of the Scientific Advisory Board. I got Art Ramon from US Transhumanist Party, Elise as well from Transhumanism Australia, and Jabu, part of our Scientific Advisory Board as well. I think not sure if Charles will be joining. He might. I think he's going to be joining as well. He did message in the Telegram, so we'll give him a couple of minutes. But yeah, we were just talking about the metaverse and the avatars that we could totally do. We checked out Decentraland as well, Natasha. They had a music festival just last week, and it was just so cool. They had some of the major music artists, like DJs, and it just felt like you were on the.
You know, it's interesting. One of the world's renowned DJs signed up for Chronix. So we're thinking about it. The conference that we hold in 2022 may have him come in with several major rock stars, and that would be really exciting. So just on the thinking board, how great that would be.
So many awesome transhumanist artists and musicians that we could bring on. Yeah. Let me just share my screen as well, so just to test. I can bring up the agenda notes. Yeah, if you guys can see this, okay. I think we're going to. Charles said the community would love to have this session recorded as well, so that the team can also and the community can watch it afterwards. Is that okay with everyone?
It's fine with me.
Fine.
Thanks, Natasha.
Thank you.
We were expecting a Bo Williams, a side.
Oh yeah, so Bo will be joining in the later session, the 6 p.m. The 6 hours afterwards session. So if we can go through some of the logistics of the NFT collection that we're minting. So that's really exciting. I think we could be able to announce that to the world around the launch date this week. And Sai's got a landing page that he's going to go through with us later today as well. But yeah, can you guys see this okay?
Yeah.
Great. So this is the agenda for today. I might just kick off. I think we're a couple of minutes in. So, welcome, Natasha, David. We've also got a couple of other members of the Scientific Advisory Board. We've got Jonathan Wood, and the dev team members that we said, Bo and Sai, and Nicole Villa from the US Transhumanist Party. So I think they'll join in the later session today. But yeah, Natasha, maybe just a quick welcome for you to the team.
Thank you. I am so happy to be here. It's a long time coming. I've been an admirer of your work, Peter, for quite some time. And in fact, what's interesting is that a current project I'm working on with global transhumanism, I happened to take a look at Australia, and it seems that that's already being taking place in Australia. And I saw this at the website of a totally unrelated website. And so I wanted to talk with you all about this to see if you're part of that, or if it's a different group, and how we can at Humanity Plus, link and build this out further, because I think one of the most important things that we do today is not only education, but also build our community to be stronger and more versatile and resilient than ever before. So I want to work with you on this.
Oh, that'd be amazing. What's the name of that website? I'll definitely check it out.
Well, it's hold on. Let me find it for you right now. I'll tell you what it is. It is Lifeboat Foundation. Now, I've been a member of Lifeboat Foundation for 30 years, and I have no idea what it's doing. So I want to be careful not to place my words in any way that could be detrimental. But Lifeboat is, as we know, it's has everyone in the kitchen sink as an advisor, which is kind of delightful. But I saw on their website that they were promoting a Australian global transhumanism. And I went, wow, that's what I want to do at Humanity Plus. So interestingly enough, I didn't find anything further on that. And I know they're working on another project, which I got an email from Eric today on. But so bringing it back to you all, is this global transhumanism part of an Australian project? And if so, how can we merge? And if not, who are they?
Definitely. Well, we've got a couple of the board members here today as well, or sort of the members of Lifeboat Foundation. And like you say, it's got everyone in there.
I love it.
So Elise and Avinash, I think, at least. Anyone else part of the Lifeboat Foundation? I think that's where they were getting at. So it's part of Transhumanism Australia. I guess that could be what they're referring to in terms of the Australian community. And Elise and I and Avinash and a couple of others like Bo, who's just joined. Hey, Bo.
Hello, sorry, my email decided to stop working. So
that's okay. Yeah. Thanks so much for joining.
Hope I haven't missed anything. Good to meet you all.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming. We're just talking about Transhumanism Australia and Lifeboat Foundation, because I think that's what that's referring to, Natasha.
I think so, but I'm not sure. But
if it's not, we're definitely close to top.
Well, let's just whether or not, it doesn't matter. Everyone's included, so I'm 100% on inclusivity and no one owning anything, but it's a joint open source transhumanism. So the main thing is, and as I said at the Transvision conference in my talk on education the last day, which I was extremely passionate about, you can't have anything without education. You can't have any type of social system or political structure or advocacy without first being informed. And that's where I come in, because it's my life's work over the past 30 years as a professor and a author of curriculum and whatnot, is to get the facts out as clearly as possible and to be really good BS detectors. I mean, I think that transhumanists have an impeccable ability to better identify falsity or misinformation and hyperbole, as well as any type of scare tactics or whatever, from the actual evidence-based science as well as analytics. And I think Hans Rosling is our great mentor in that regard, because his work, especially in the book, which I keep on my desk, Factfulness, is it getting in focus? Maybe back here. it's an excellent book on identifying information and being able to see what's important in the world and what needs attention in the world across spectrums, across domains, to look at the evidence and to be able to determine the factfulness from the hyperbole. And this gets obfuscated a lot in academics and in the mainstream, but I think as transhumanists, one of our goal, and I think David Wood would agree, we're futurists and we need those skills of foresight and to better determine this. And let us be the intellectuals and the knowledge bearers of the future. We understand the consequences, we understand the benefits and the risks. We've been over this for the past 3 decades or longer. And it's not like we're offering a Pollyanna future of rose-colored glasses about life extension and AI and nanotechnology, etc. We have actually done our due diligence in digging into the core issues and uncovering some of the risks and how to be prepared for those potential risks and how to better determine policymaking and decision-making for the future based on looking at all areas, all the variables within the system of risks as being holders of potential pros and cons. So
That's
a great
amazing.
opportunity for us here.
That's very well said, Natasha. Yeah, definitely. And I think over the past 30 years, you would have seen all the different sort of spectrum of how people have been trying to, oversell this, the science of transhumanism behind that. So you and David, I think, are the guiding sort of stars behind us. And so for the future generations of transhumanism, as well as we get newcomers from the likes of Africa, that we're seeing the more new members coming on board, definitely we need that sort of guidance to make sure that they're really driving towards the factfulness and the risk identification and the policy making for the future. So thank you so much. David, would you like to say hi to the team as well? Thank you for being a guest on this.
It's great to be here. I'm consider myself a friend to Transhuman Coin, and if I can see ways to offer advice or insight from what I've experienced, then I'll speak up and do so.
Definitely much needed. And thank you so much for your audience back in the London Futurists event for Transhuman Coin. It definitely helped us kick the tires a bit as we try to sort of navigate the white paper and different tokenomics behind it as well. And then at Transvision, it was so great to have you introduce us there. And that's where we met Natasha as well. So thank you so much. I think Jonathan Wood might join at the 6 hour later session. But Bo is part of our new team member. Let me say hi as well.
How's it going, everyone? My name is Bo. I've been a member and sort of like founding member of the Transhumanism Australia chapter for some years now. Originally got into it from reading Nick Bostrom. And I was, quite young and wanted to find some people to discuss it with and we sort of ended up doing Transhumanism Australia, which has been great because it's fostered, in one regard, a lot of great friendships, lifelong friendships, and getting to meet all sorts of cool people such as yourselves, just learning new things as well. Like I really enjoy hearing about different aspects of the industry, what people are up to. It's really exciting, and people's opinions as well. Everyone's got a different take, and I think that's one of the cool things about transhumanism I've found is that we're not all trying to push the same opinion. We sort of come in and we have our own angles, and it's sort of like a nice space for us to discuss basically about these topics. So and these days what do I do? Well, regarding transhumanism, I am working as the developer. We're currently working on an NFT, non-fungible token drop, you don't know what they are, I won't bore you guys for now, but they're really cool and people like them, whatever. But yeah, I'm writing the smart contracts, the back end, and the front end, and yeah, I'm like the full stack, which is pretty cool. So it also might eventuate with us doing some other cool crypto projects in the future. It's quite hot right now, so you know, why not take advantage of that, right?
Yeah.
Outside of that, that's me. I mean, I do other things, of course, like all things, but I won't bore you all
There's
with
an awesome skateboarder as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, it's been such a pleasure. Like, meeting both. I think it's almost 7 years ago. We started in a pub, just a local transhumanists in Sydney, and we had regular meetups, and that's sort of how we built the trust and the friendships over time, and talked about the latest developments in transhumanism. And then we talked about what's happening all around the world and transhumanist leaders like yourselves, Natasha and David.
Those great things to chat about, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Thanks. And yeah, it's a real pleasure to have you on board for this Transhuman Coin project.
Yeah, so if you guys have questions about the NFT, of course, because that's in the agenda, it seems, feel free to shoot them my way, and I'll try my best to answer them.
Awesome. Thanks, Beth. Yeah, and Sai is also part of the dev team. He's the artist behind the Transhuman Coin NFT collection. He'll be joining in the 6-hour time session later on today. And yeah, we'll have Nicole Villa as well. So thank you, Art, for introducing us to Nicole from the Transhumanist Party US. She'll be joining as well. She's a cybersecurity expert, also a Web3 developer too. But yeah, I thought I'd just probably introduce the Scientific Advisory Board as well. So Avinash, our chair of the Scientific Advisory Board. How you going?
Hello, Natasha and David. Myself is Avinash. And with Natasha, I think, I'm not sure you remember me, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, we had some interaction regarding India Future Society. It's running in India. I mean, there's a transhumanist group as well, or organization. So that's a short interaction I had with you before. But anyway, myself, Avinash, I'm in Australia since last 5 years. And professionally, I'm a researcher in cybernetics, I would say, a brain-computer interface. And that's where I also like to promote and support transhumanism idea, mostly around digital immortality. That's where I am, or I should call it mind uploading and that kind of ideas. That's my focus because that's my background as well. But of course, in general, transhumanism, as a scientist, as a researcher, I want to make these things happen, right? Because that's what I'm looking for. But in addition to that, I sit on some of the ethic board. For example, IEEE ethics related to neurotech, for example. And I work at University of Technology, Sydney in Australia, and simultaneously running India Future Society in India. There's some few members there, which supports a lot, including outside, for example, Elia and other people who are from International Longevity Alliance. I'm also sitting on those boards, supporting ideas, developing rules, regulations, ethics, and talking about that. And thank you to being on Transhumanist Coin. Thank you for Peter to bring me in as well. I'm really glad to be part of this project, actually, and it holds lots of promises. Not just promise, I found there's a certain idea, especially tokenomics, which is the best part of Transhumanist Coin, and I think could grow it better. And what we want to do to create a center for research and other agenda we want to promote the transhumanists who cannot secure certain kind of grant and other kind of support we hope to provide from this venture. So glad to be part of that, and really nice to meet you, Natasha and David, here today. And thank you. That's pretty much from my side.
That's an honor to have you on the chair, Avinash, for the Scientific Advisory Board. And Dr. Avinash just won the award from Google TensorFlow for setting the standards for brain-computer interfaces. So, yeah, it's just really privileged to be part of this team. Yeah, I think also we've got Jabu on the Scientific Advisory Board. Hi, Jabu. We put you off on mute.
Yes, hello everyone. Jabu Nkesi. So I'm one of the members of the advisory board, the scientific advisory board of the Transhuman Coin, and I joined about 2 months ago now.
Yeah.
Yes. So my background is that I'm actually a dermatologist. So I work in South Africa, and I'm an academic. So being a dermatologist, obviously we also like get involved with anti-aging treatment, the outside sort of treatment of, or the visible treatment of aging. And so I think that most of the initial sort of you know treatments or involvement in the longevity was actually started from the skin, because that's where we see most of these effects. But actually it's more than the skin, because the aging process, we all know that it's in all organs ultimately. So I don't really like. I'm not part of any sort of transhuman, organism or organization at the moment. Uh, Other than the fact that I support transhumanism as so I'm a transhumanist at heart. Yes. Otherwise, I mean, I got involved through the information that I had from South Africa. It was actually from Dr. Charles. I saw the transhuman coin at its infancy when it was starting through his Facebook account. I don't think he actually knows that, but yes, I found it there. And then that's when I actually met this amazing team that we have today. And I'm actually quite amazed at the amount of work that the transhumanism, has done all over the world. I actually was unaware of the magnitude of what is happening, and I'm actually quite pleased to be part of this. And I think in Africa we actually are behind, to be honest, with this. So it's actually inspiring, and that we should actually get more involved and perhaps be pioneers in this in this part of the world, to actually advance this um, amazing idea, because I don't think that it's actually like well known here. I mean, I'm a doctor, so I consider myself a professional and someone that is more informed about like a few things. But I was actually very much uninformed about transhumanism. So yes, that's me.
That's such a pleasure, Nana. Thank you so much, Jonathan. That's so well said, and I think that's the sort of movement growth. There's so much opportunity in Africa and beyond as well, and India as well. Yeah, and Dr. Charles has joined. Hey, Charles, how you going?
Hi, Peter. Hi, Vinaj, and everyone.
How you feeling?
I feel better today.
Oh, it's great to hear. Wow. Charles, you've inspired so many people, just through your Facebook account and through your influence over the years. So, thank you for, beginning this project and, sharing it with the world. So, yeah, thank you. And I think you've met Natasha and David through interactions online.
Yep.
Got the whole team here, but I'll pass it over to you.
Great. My name is Charles Awuzie. I run an IT company here in South Africa, the GameSpark Group, and we were involved in a couple of IT services. We do have GameSpark Hosting, which is a web hosting platform, Sahara Skills, which is a freelancer platform, and we have a tech hub in the south of Johannesburg, where we, it's an innovation hub. We help young, talented, and inspired Africans to flesh out their ideas. And we have a couple of interests in business, energy, and then crypto. And above all, I am so passionate about transhumanism, especially with areas like cryonics and crop preservation, and helping human 1.0 to upgrade to human 2.0. And I'm inspired by great transhumanists out there: Peter Avenard, Mr. David Woods, Natasha, David Sinclair, and the rest of the transhumanist influencers. I really celebrate you guys. So Transhuman Coin is a passion. It's a child born out of necessity, and I think we are just right on time to create a means of transaction in the transhuman or transhumanism community, and enable transhumanists to also connect. There is nothing that connects people better than something that has economic incentive, as part of its oppression. So Transhuman Coin gives us that kind of advantage, that we're able to reach out to new transhumanists with something that they look up to, which could, better their financial status. And I'm just gonna apologize for being late. I'm not feeling too well. It's been a kind of hustle, to wake up every morning. I'm gonna stop here, and then Peter can take it from there.
No, thank you so much for still joining at this early time for you, Dr. Charles and Jabu. And it's so great to see you back on your feet and out of the hospitals. Just for those that didn't know, Dr. Charles had an autoimmune type of effect, and after taking some of the drugs for it, the side effects actually put him into hospital from the blood clotting that luckily detected from going to the emergency hospital, and found that if he hadn't stopped it earlier, it could have potentially led to a stroke. So modern science and technology has helped save Dr. Charles's life. But it just really goes to show that we really need to constantly monitor our health, our quantified self, and how do we actually use that technology to make sure we can save others as well. Yeah, so thanks, Dr. Charles. Looking forward to you also documenting your journey. We're hoping to have a chat with Kennedy and Liz Parrish on how Liz has essentially went through her journey as well as a biohacker. So, and speaking of which, Art, thank you for introducing us to the US Transhumanist Party as well. And we had a chat with Sharif as well from the USTP guys last night, early this morning. Thanks for organizing that as well, Art. Over to you.
It was early morning for me, and being a visual art director at USTP and doing the virtual entertainment salon, I'm kind of in the middle, so I get to hear a lot of the new technologies coming in, newer ideas, and that's helped me get a greater perspective on things. So I'm gonna try and use that to help give Transhuman Coin input and help the project succeed.
Thank you so much, Art. You've been such an awesome connector as well with the transhumanist community in the US and abroad. Sharif was based in Malaysia, and he hosts the World Talent Economic Forum, and so we had a chat with him around cryptocurrencies for the first time on his show. So that was great to introduce Transhuman Coin there. Finally, I think Elise. Sorry, we started with you, but we didn't get to you. Sorry.
No worries. Thanks everyone for joining this. So my background is actually I'm a software engineer, and I have previously started a whole genome sequencing startup, and to specifically discover any biomarkers that led to or probability of living a longer, healthier life. And so through that, I actually met a lot of transhumanists and also worked with a lot of the longevity organizations like ILA. But also, apart from that, I also worked for a number of blockchain startups. So that's where when I heard about Transhuman Coin and I also got introduced to it through Dr. Charles, that's when I just thought that it was the perfect combination of the things that I've been working on for the last, I'd say, nearly 10 years. So Yeah, so that's why I got involved. And so now I'm part of the management/dev team.
Thanks, Elise. And Elise is also my wife, and yeah, we're in the same room, so I have to mute every time she says something as well, so bear with us. Usually I'm the loud one too, so great. I think that's everyone. I hope I haven't missed anyone out. But yeah, first item on the agenda was just our journey to date. You would have heard some, how this all started through Charles and the team in South Africa, and Elise and I joining on board, and then Avinash and the Scientific Advisory Board jumping on as well. We presented at Transvision. Essentially now the next step is to launch the NFT. So maybe, Bo, you can just give a quick update on that, and we can talk about how we can help promote this as we get closer to the launch date.
Right. Absolutely. So the NFT drop is coming along well. We've basically written our smart contracts, and we have a website design as well. So I will see if I can just quickly grab a preview of the design. Just give me one moment. So one of the interesting things about smart contract development is that, obviously there's a number of different things you need to deal with the blockchain. So a little struggle I had was actually coming to terms with the fact that if we were to randomly distribute our NFTs, so basically we have some price floors, right? So we have a Genesis NFT, which is our first one, and I can show you guys that in a second. And then we have a different level of rarity, which is like the super rare. And then we have the standard issue NFTs. And in total, there is 500 of them. So these designs were done by Sai, and we will present the full site later on when he is here. So I believe that will be in the later meeting. But one thing I can get you guys started on for now is what the NFTs look like. So apologies for the delay. My computer is really slow at the moment. I need to get a new one. It's
we were definitely fun of that with Transhuman Coin.
I've just done too much stuff on this, and it's sick of it. So, anyways, give me 1 sec, and I'll share my screen.
Sure. Sai's also shared with me the current designs for the website as well, so I can bring that up for you later.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I'll just share my screen real quick. Oh, you're already sharing it. Okay.
Yeah. Let me. Oh, sorry. I'll stop sharing and you can share.
Yeah. No worries. Let's go.
Thank you so much for the notes as well, Natasha. It's really helpful in adding this to the docs.
I'm posting here because I want to be really clear on where we are as far as evidence-based science and the latest advances in biomedical research. And this is what I want to offer to you all, my high-end research and doggedness and scholarship in this area. And when I listen to what you're saying, I really want to hone it into being fully abreast and aware why transhumanists, as I said in my opening introduction, we need to be the informed, the educated, those who identify bullshit from fact, who don't get pulled into snake oil, who understand all the consequences, the pros and cons, and to be able to deliberate and argue effectively. And so I have to put this in the chat because I heard some sayings about this and that and the other thing. And a lot of it is noteworthy, to be sure, but again, as transhumanists, it's almost our responsibility, whether we like it or not, to be informed and to be ardent futurists with foresight and the ability to identify snake oil from fact to look at research. And as far as any research being done, Greg Fay is on the top of the pyramid as far as evidence-based science and efficacy there. And the next step in any biomedical therapies for longevity is no other than Robert Freitas with his work in nanomedicine. So I just wanted to add that because I'm looking for something I can offer to you all and not just be a yes person. I really want to contribute in the most meaningful ways I can. And I hope this will add to the acumen and integrity of your project. So now I'll be quiet and step aside, but I put that all in the chat window there for you all.
Thank you so much, Natasha.
Thank you.
And those would be people we'd be definitely keen to get onto the scientific advisory board to help guide us on the projects that we get allocated as well. So if they can be the sort of the guiding star around, you know, when we call that bullshit of any projects. That
BS detectors.
Yeah.
Really important. There's so much out there. Yeah. Okay. This is beautiful. Go ahead. Whose presentation is this?
Yeah, so this is one of our NFTs. These are the artwork done by SAB. And it was actually a really good point you made there because I definitely agree with you. And I believe that linking this type of research to the funds that we're trying to raise from the tokenomics of THC would provide people looking into purchasing THC for its cause a very direct connection. Like, hey, my purchase of THC and the fees and reflections collected through owning that is directly funding this particular researcher, and this is his research. And it could be a very good way for the research to get its name out there so that people can be aware of it, and also be for people to have a more compelling reason to be investing in Transhuman Coin. So I definitely think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I was saying, you know, organizations like Vita-DAO doing NFTs for IP, which is a great sort of facilitator of the early research stage, and they have a really great scientific advisory board to support that. So I guess through this sort of NFT, through the artwork and transhumanist music and brainwaves, we're sort of trying to generate the mnemonic versions to popularize transhumanism and support these causes through our donations. So yeah, sort of different angles at that same challenge.
Yeah, so here we have, this is our Genesis NFT. And I don't want to steal too much of the thunder from Sai because this really is his work specifically. But we built these images around, firstly, Transhuman Coin. It's our first NFT drop. And also it's going to be launched onto the pancake swap market. So you see these little bunnies with pancakes, this little astronaut bunny with some pancakes there. That's related to one of the marketplaces that we want to launch our NFTs on. And you can see some of them flying around there. They're all very cute. And as we progress through the collection, we see different generated images. So this is the 001. It's called Photobomb. And then as we go along, they vary in image and also different levels of rarity. So we actually have about 500 of them here. And so that's all really interesting. One of the things that we worked on for this project was what I call like an auto NFT. So I actually wrote some scripts to generate a bunch of metadata. So just a bit of information on how NFTs work. So you have an image, like or really any kind of asset, and then you have some metadata that's associated with it. And if you guys know what metadata is or not, I can show you right now what it looks like. So here's some metadata for our first image. And we can see here that we record the name, we record the description, we record the image and the location of it. Now I've actually updated this and then also some trait types as well. And so this is how when we mint the NFT with the smart contract, which I've got lots of code all over the place. It's around here somewhere. It's probably in my drop down. So when we mint the NFT with the smart contract, the data is associated with the metadata, and that's stored on the chain so that obviously it's immutable. No one can change it. So permanently, that token that you own has some metadata associated with it, and the metadata stores the image. And then the kicker is that it's the images and the metadata is stored on what is called the IPFS, and it sounds really cool, it's called the Interplanetary File System. So it's a special file system that has so it will always be addressable in the same space. And it's very similar to a blockchain where there's a whole lot of different nodes out there on the network. It's similar to torrents and P2P that are constantly storing this data all over the world. And it's all accessible from one link. So the reason why we have that is that it's decentralized. So if one of these data providers goes down, it'll be available somewhere else. So this is a way of permanently hosting an image on the internet and then linking it up with this token that you can own. So you've got this image that will permanently exist, you've got a token that will permanently exist, and then you've got the relationship between the two. And so that relationship is what essentially defines the ownership of that image or of whatever thing that you are owning. So that's a little bit about NFTs, just going from the development perspective. I won't bore you guys with the smart contract, and we're also building a website. I'd rather leave the website for Sai because he's put a lot of work into that, and I've already shown his images, so I don't want to steal his thunder, as I said. But yeah, so the other work involved in building this is so we build a web server, which is based on Node.js, and we build a front end, which is just a typical website, which has HTML, CSS, all of that stuff. And then the third component is the smart contract that sits on the blockchain. And so we have the web server and we have the front end. And so the front end has some buttons on it, and those buttons are related to functions that are sitting on the web server. So we click the button, it goes to the web server responds back, and then it sends a command to the smart contract sitting in the blockchain to mint an NFT. And then that is presented to the user on the front end. So that's kind of like the full stack of how it works. There's three key components. There is the web server, there is the front end or the website, that's the bit that you see, and there is the smart contract in the cloud or on the blockchain that does all the smart contract stuff, aside from the data that's stored in the cloud and all that stuff. So I hope that makes sense. I tried my best to explain how this all fits together. It's a bit of a puzzle, and it's a puzzle I've had to figure out. But yeah, it's interesting stuff and very cool. Very cool.
So Paul, that makes sense from a technical point of view.
Yeah.
What's the commercial model here? What price do you think people will be paying to buy these NFTs? And if they pay a certain price, does that money all go into the Transhuman Coin funds?
Yeah, so the way that, and in fact, Peter's got, there you go, awesome.
Yeah, so the commercial model is that the website, this is a preview of the website that will be launching shortly. The user would log in with their MetaMask or Trust Wallet account. So it's a Web3 identity, essentially logging in. And from this website, you can mint your own, one of the 500 NFTs. So by minting it, you are using any sort of currency. We're essentially using Binance Coin initially because it's on the Binance Smart Chain. So they put Binance Coin in their wallet, and that allows them to mint one. The current pricing, I believe it's, I think it's 0.3 Binance BNB, which is about 120 US dollars, and that's sort of the standard NFT rarity. And then there's, I think, a higher end ones for the super rare and ultra rare. I think that's the pricing that Size put together. But by doing that, the proceeds of the Binance coin that's received through this wallet will be completely converted to Transhuman Coin. So that'll create utility to purchase buying pressure on the price. And 70% of that goes to the artist. So essentially Sai and Bo, and 30% goes to the THC dev wallet, which is Bo and the team. So this way we can actually fund the marketing of it as well, and all those efforts as well through this process.
Is this, Peter, is this also host those artists?
Yeah. So this is our first drop, and we're going to be launching the community version of NFT collections, and this is where I would love to get Natasha and David on board to create their own versions of NFTs.
Let me ask you, how does the coin relate to longevity, and what are the key scientists, technologists, theoreticians, philosophers, futurists that you're aligning with this coin to give it the substantiality that you need to build out its marketability?
Yeah, and that's sort of the journey we're going through now. So we've just donated to lifespan.io. So let me just share my screen. And we've also got Tim Maupin here. So Tim,
I saw Tim. I would suggest Tim. I also Reason, Max Moore, Andrew Sandberg. As far as women, and I'm always pushing women, Cynthia Kenyon and Judith Capisci, Sonia Arison, myself, who are other leaders in biomedical research. I'm looking at core figures that really have not only the intellectual acumen, but the academic scholarship and what's I think important, and I mentioned this, Greg Fay, that scientific research that is a breakthrough protocol. I think that's really essential rather than just theoretical projects. I think that you really need to stabilize it with approved research and publications that are part of any governance papers, that, like my paper on my research with C. elegans and long-term memory, is part of PubMed. And so it's a government publication that sets a precedence with the FDA and any other scientific research. That Ramon Risco in Spain is building his most recent research based on my research, my work. And this is what's important, to show a history or a lineage of where some research has led to other research, which leads to other research. And here I would include Michael Rose, who I think is fundamental as far as his longevity research with fruit flies. And while maybe he hasn't had any specific accomplishments over the past decade, it doesn't matter. He achieved a phenomenal accomplishment with his fruit flies. And even post-mortem, I mean, there's Roy Walford that you could pay tribute to, or, others, Hans Rosling. I have this book on my desk, Factfulness. I am always promoting, because there's so much BS around. Hans Rosling is, I think, the quintessential thinker in, it's not showing up clearly, I'm sorry, in looking objectively at the data to be able to assess what longevity really means and what research is successful. I mean, we're still on the border with stem cells. Stem cells, if not delivered in the proper place or with the proper instruction, can cause tumors and cancer. Not everyone can take metformin. Not everyone can take human growth hormone therapies. Some of us who have had cancer, or recurrent cancer like myself, we have to stay away from some protocols. And even Dave Kekich, bless his heart, was impoverished in his immune system. So you think about, it's more about Transhuman Coin supporting personalized medicine or personalized longevity, that one size does not fit all, that the responsibility, and I think this is lovely because the transhumanist philosophy has always proposed that self-responsibility is at the core, to know yourself, your identity, and your own self-worth. And in longevity, to have your blood work and your DNA, your sequence through 23andMe or whoever, whatever, but to at least know your starting point, and then look at what therapies work for you when and if necessary. You don't need to take every vitamin under the world or every therapy under the world just to try to look young, or every Botox treatment or whatever, but use it wisely and when needed. And I think that's an example that Transhuman Coin in longevity and us as transhumanists can set forward, not to be assuaged by this hyperbole and, oh, everyone wants to look young and attractive and pretty and handsome and muscle bound and whatnot. It takes work. I mean, I go to the gym every day and I work really, really, really hard. It's not easy. It takes work and effort. So does our intellectual acumen and our ability to understand facts or scientific evidence from falsity. So I hope you engage this and integrate this in your proposal.
Definitely. Exactly. And Natasha, that's great sort of tuning into around how we can put together an evaluation framework to the...
Wouldn't it be great to be known as the world's leader in thinking? I mean, what is the competition? The World Economic Forum or Davos, or what are these other groups that get together? And then if you look at who's speaking and you look at what they have, what they're speaking about, you're going, oh, geez, we talked about this 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Are they not growing? So what can we bring forward through the great work that you're doing, Peter, and all your colleagues here who are all brilliant? I mean, each one of you, I've Googled, I've researched, even sitting here, and you all have something so meaningful, important to contribute. So we've got this. And the beauty of it is we're not part of any type of religious or group or political group that's pushing any particular agenda. The agenda that we're pushing is longevity and a level of neurological cognizance or integrity in our thinking compatibilities in growing, emerging with AI in the future. So we're really at a great place, a really great place.
Yeah, that's so awesome to hear as well from you, Natasha. It's an honor and pleasure as well for you to have been here to guide us on this journey. Things like, we've been looking at the other projects that have been doing these types of grants and getting the scientific advisory board. I think Vita and Lifespan.io, they have amazing scientific advisory boards to help guide them. This is an example of one of the grants, the impetus grants. So Avinash, I think, or is it art?
But the beauty that you have over Vita is like a lot of these boards are only looking for people who are already famous, like Stephen Hawking.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, Stephen Hawking was against longevity. As brilliant as he was, in the later years of his life, he was against AI, even narrow AI, and opposed to longevity. We need to be confident in who we are, thinking we don't need these so-called stars of otherness that other people attribute to who ought to be on boards and who ought to be, but take a look in our own garden of brilliant minds, from Max Moore to Nick Bostrom to Andrew Sandberg to Sonia Arison. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Yeah. We've got the mind power. We just need to pull it together and not rely on what society is dictating who is on boards, because they need to get in their millions or billions of dollars, but to set a precedent based on, again, knowledge and awareness of pros and cons. It's already here. We as transhumanists have already been talking about this for 3 decades. We're not naive to it. We know that there are pros, we know that there are cons, and we know that we need to use foresight, which David Wood would agree with is one of our best tools today. Thinking about the future, looking at possible futures, understanding the different directions, and strategizing without any belief system or morality or religious or political deterrent pulling us in any direction. And then we have possibly the future of open democracy. Okay, I'll shut up for a while. I'm sorry.
This is great. Just capturing all of this. Because, yes, I think that resonates with what Charles has been doing as well. So for those that don't know, Charles used to be a pastor. So because that's a lot of what the communities in Africa experience, because, you know, that's just the history of it. But through, I guess Charles can speak for himself on this, through that journey he went through, understanding and science and technology can have a real impact, especially in light of COVID, how that's actually gave him this opportunity with transhumanism as well, Charles.
Sorry, Peter. I just want to interrupt and say that this meeting link ends in 3 minutes. So do we want to hop on another one when that ends?
That's a good point. Let me
so in the okay.
Cool. In the chat box, we should.
Yeah, let me just extend this here. Thanks for the heads up. Okay. Oh, well. Popping some deep. But yeah, over to you, Charles, while I extend this meeting invite.
Great.
Sorry, Charles.
Thank you so much, Natasha. I need to say this to you. I do look up to you a lot. I've researched about you. I've tried to get as much knowledge from your work as I could. Back to what Peter said about my background. Yes, I used to be a religious leader in Africa. I'm one of the youngest, most sought after, a couple of years ago. I started preaching like in the religious side from the age of 9 years. I was 9 years when I started preaching. But getting to my teens and getting into varsity, I had a lot of transformation, mental transformation. I had a lot of questions that were not answered by religion. And people thought I was going crazy, and a lot of people said I was becoming an anti-God, an anti-Christ, and all those kind of stuff. But I just had questions. I was a very curious mind that just needed answers. And here in Africa, is a taboo. It's an abomination to question established religious systems or traditional systems. And that also didn't work with my age, because young people are not supposed to question elders, So, but what all that did was that it lured me into deeper knowledge. I began to have a closer romance with books, and I would read all kinds of books from dark cover to red cover to white cover and back to green cover, all in search of questions that I couldn't get from religion or my tradition or my society. And when I left varsity, I realized that there is a need to lead a conversation in Africa and to rewrite the story of the continent. And then I began to, do what we're doing on social media. Began to challenge certain doctrines, traditions, and cultures. At first, I said, look, we can't continue, because I come from this part of the world that as we have this sort of phobia for homosexuals, and coming from the background that I come from as a religious leader, nobody expected someone like me to speak up for gay rights. It's in the news. And I came out and I said, look, guys, we can't keep killing gays, just because they want to have sex differently, or they love differently. And I was accused of being gay, and it was a huge scandal. The Nigerian pastor living in South Africa has been living a secret life of homosexuality, but I'm straight, but I'm just accommodating. And we spoke out against albinism and the phobia against albinos, and a couple of other advocacy that we've carried out in the past. And then that brought us to my encounter in transhumanism, or with transhumanism. First, I always say my first interest was cryopreservation. I have a background in biochemistry. My first degree was actually in biochemistry. So people always ask, how did you switch from biochemistry to cybersecurity? Is a tough one that day, you know. But it makes sense to me, you know, especially with regards to Dr. Avinash, you're a brain expert, you're a brain computer interface expert, you know. But I began to realize that the human consciousness exists, you know, just right here in the brain, you know. Our thoughts, you know, habits, you know, belief systems, what the consciousness, the human consciousness, you know, all starts here and ends right here, you know. And that was a big one, you know, because of my background and the kind of audience that I have, you know. We didn't believe this. we didn't understand this, you know, because we believed that there was life after here. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be religious or trying to debate religion, but I'm just trying to put up some facts about my history and my journey, you know. And yeah, so that discovery was life-changing, right? It was life-changing. And as usual, I started a conversation about it on my page on Facebook. And a lot of people came to me and said, Charles, do you mean that people can be cryopreserved, people can be preserved, you know, at very low temperatures and with the hope that they'll be revived later in the future? Between the time of their preservation and the time when they will be restored, right? Where will their soul be? You know, are they going to be in heaven or in hell? So, you know, we had that kind of conversation, and it led to trying to educate them or educate us on consciousness and all of that. You know, then I started a talk show called The Intellectuals. The Intellectuals. It's on YouTube, it's on my page. We have thousands of views on my page, you know, where we invite people, you know, intellectuals from different walks of life to interact intellectually with my audience. You know, we've had Zoltan from the USTP, you know, and Avinash and Peter, we've also been on that platform, you know. So yeah, in a nutshell, the transhuman coin, the birth of the transhuman coin became like a bait, kind of, you know. The people who would have literally rejected the transhumanism idea and ideology, especially in Africa, you know, because there is this economic incentive that is attached to the transhuman coin. They sort of embrace it unknowingly, you know. So it's a bit strategic. And then what happens, or what we should do from there, is actually one of the things that we're going to look up for through David Woods and Natasha, which is education. Education, that's very important. You know, we need to, there is a syllabus that David Woods had recently published. We need to, you know, integrate that with the Transhuman Coin education program, you know, so that when we mint transhumanists, you know, just as we mint NFTs, right? When we mint transhumanists through the Transhuman Coin, they go through a process of relearning and unlearning. Sorry.
Yeah, relearning and learning.
Yeah, you know, and we can achieve the major ends of the Transhuman Coin, which is not just invest in longevity and enhancing the human life and you know 21st century technologies and all of that, right? But to educate, which is very important, you know, to educate and elevate the consciousness of those who hold the Transhuman Coin. And I'm going to stop there, you know, and as time goes on, I'm going to keep talking. Thank you.
And David's just put in the chat the proposed syllabus as well.
That's correct, David Woods. That's correct.
Thank you, David. Great. All right, I think that's amazing. Thank you so much. I'll add that to the notes too. Tim, thank you so much for joining. Are you still on the line there, Tim?
Yes, hello.
Hi. Thank you so much. We're up to you on the agenda, and thank you for coming back from the show that you're at.
Oh, of course, yeah. Sorry, it was a little bit last minute, but yeah, I'm glad to be here and glad to meet everyone. And Natasha, I know it's been a long time, but good to see you again.
I think you're on mute there, Natasha.
Sorry, I was muting myself. Oh, Tim, so lovely to see you, and I'm glad you're looking so well.
Well, thank you. You as
Bravo
well.
to you.
Yeah. We're hanging in there, right? But yeah, I guess I don't know, Peter, if you want me to sort of dive in, or I don't know.
Great. Yeah, just a quick introduction to the team. I've given them a heads up on your current project, The Last Generation to Die, and the discussions we've had with Keith Comito on the NFT and crypto ideas.
Cool. Well, yeah. Well, again, thank you for having me. And this is a bit impromptu, but I basically several years ago I did a Kickstarter and raised a little bit of money to make a short film called The Last Generation to Die, and that's actually when I met Natasha. And so we made that film, and it's been a few years. I took a little time, worked on some other projects, moved to New York City, kind of developed my film career and so forth. And over the past year or two prior to COVID, I started working again on the script and kind of getting back to we'd always sort of intended to make a full-length feature version of the film, something that could potentially go on to, Netflix or potentially theaters. There's a lot of variables there, of course, but so, then of course COVID hit and slowed it down even further and so forth, as we all, are aware. But so I'm kind of back, and it seems like it's starting to get to the point where we can look at shooting potentially soon as an indie film. And so that's kind of, that's the big reason, that I'm here chatting or whatever. But it's a little bit more background. That's the film actually led me into longevity. So that's what's kind of interesting about my journey into sort of longevity and the space. Prior to that, I was just a filmmaker, just sort of curious about the topic and that sort of thing. And then as I made the film, I was still, the film was kind of a conversation piece. I wasn't 100%, there were still some things I'm sort of curious about or playing out in my head. And then over the years, I've just become more and more, everything just makes so much more sense. And I think longevity and life extension and everything that, we're all going for here makes a ton of sense logically. And so my mission over the past few years, in addition to making this film, has really just been to use my skill set as much as I can, not just for films, but also like commercial projects. And so right now I'm working part-time for Lifespan.io and making, we run a series called Science to Save the World, which is kind of a broader series, but it covers a lot of different science topics. And my personal view is that there's a lot of problems in the world. And I think, if we want to live longer, we want to live in a great world. So it's like trying to have just trying to work on all the problems at once, I think is important. And so that's sort of lending as much of me as I can to that mission. But yeah, I'm working on some mini docs for Lifespan.io in the longevity space, and various other projects with Keith. And so, just ultimately I'd like to shift most of my work, if not entirely, into the longevity or potentially transhuman space, or all these topics. So that's kind of a bit of a backstory. But I've worked in film for a long time. I do visual effects. I've done cinematography, and I've directed a handful of short films. Most recently, probably one of the more exciting things that I've done recently, we started working on a sci-fi web series, and we got mentorship from Lily Wachowski, who's one of the co-directors of The Matrix. And so that was pretty amazing to have her working with us and kind of, learning and that sort of thing. And so that's a little bit of an ongoing process. But so yeah, ultimately, and then in terms of the transhuman coin and crypto, I'll be super honest in that I'm very new and sort of learning everything as probably many people are. But I will say pretty quickly I've caught up to speed, and I think crypto at large and blockchain makes a ton of sense now that I have a greater understanding of it. And I don't know how much Peter shared, but talking with Keith, we've developed a handful of ideas, like NFT concepts that we think might help fund the film, and also other things. Like one of the concepts we have that we're looking at is an NFT that would go to fund the film and scientific research, like all at once. So and then we would potentially feature that research in the film itself. So it's kind of like this I I don't want to use the word meta because I know that's a little bit of a thing right now with Facebook, but yeah, it's kind of like working on different levels. And so I think, and then also Peter, since we've spoken, there's a couple new ideas that we'll have to fill you in on at some point, but I haven't, and a few things I haven't even talked to Keith yet. So it's just kind of this ongoing, very exciting moment that it seems like where, you know, we can not only fund things, but we can also, we'll fund multiple different projects at one time. And so, so that's kind of a bit of a history. I don't know if there's any other questions or you know, what else you want me to talk about, Peter, but.
No, thanks so much, Tim. That's a great overview. And, you know, I was just saying to the team, you know, my favorite short films from you as well, and the kids on longevity, that always brings tears to my eyes. Yeah, just to sort of, you know, we have these dreams and passions when we're young, but somehow society pushes that away from us when we get older, which is the opposite of what you'd think would be happening, because, you know, we want to live longer and healthier and remain youthful. But yeah,
looking at this, actually, after I talked to you, I rewatched that, and it made me think, like, I should just go interview more kids because they're just so pure, like, and it's just, you know, why would you want to die, you know? And so it's like a very
I was going to put up the link for everyone here as well, just so they can go and watch it in case they haven't. But thanks. Yeah, so there's some more ideas around that. But I thought in terms of Transhuman Coin and the opportunities to collaborate on what Tim is doing with the last generation to die, we thought of bringing it up in the scientific advisory board to talk about direct crypto donations we could do with Transhuman Coin, assist with the NFT listings, if that's something you'd be interested in, working with Tim and Keith and the team. I think, you know, through your 4-hour conversation with Keith, though, there's a lot of things he would have shared with you around his thoughts working at Disney and, you know, Disney Plus, and also his thoughts on where he could take Lifespan.io. So yeah, there's a great collaboration opportunity there. And also at the same time, I'm working with sorry, Bear.
No, I said it was a good discussion. Yeah, we ended up chatting for 4 hours, so about all kinds of things. But
I know I often have calls with Keith that are, you know, minimum 3 hours. So yeah. I very much understand that. Yeah,
it should be the Keith Comito podcast, like Lex Friedman. You know?
Yeah, that's it, right?
Yeah, so there's Singularity University is another partner we're looking to bring on. We just had a chat with the faculty members yesterday, and so they're super keen. We're organizing some airdrops for the faculty at Singularity University. And they'll be able to support through White Mirror, but also through promotional activities as well through Singularity U. They can also help raise direct funding as well and fiat for the project. So that's something I'm keen to push along as well for you, Tim.
Cool. Tim, a quick question for me. Thanks so much for the update. Sure. What's the amount of money that you're hoping to raise altogether for this project?
Yeah,
how
great
much
question.
Have you raised already? What are you 10% of the way there, or 90% of the way there, or what?
Yeah, great question. Thanks, David. Good to meet you here. So our budget is 1.4 million for the entire feature, and so we have a plan for like traditional equity investment for investors. So just to be super honest, we had a really good start, and I don't want to get into this too much, you know, for the obvious reasons, but we had a commitment through SENS that obviously fell through with the recent situation. So basically, we're kind of back to the ground looking for. So right now, to be super honest, we started off with $10,000, and that's literally kind of where we're at right now. So we're kind of back to the beginning again. But I'm talking to a lot of people. I'm on the trail. I think we have a couple pretty solid leads that might pay off here soon. So, but that is, just being very honest, that's kind of where we are right now. So
Transhuman Coin could help you in two ways. One, there could be some direct financial investment, but secondly, it spreads the word. This community will see this particular involvement, and more people will hear about the project, and it could lead on in this way to other contributions to the fundraising.
Definitely.
Yeah, that both of those could be very helpful. So absolutely.
Yeah, and the NFTs.
One thing I want to ask you is this. I remember when I met Keith a couple of years ago at the X Prize Longevity. I was there pitching an idea, and Keith was there pitching his idea, and I ended up at Keith's table because I loved the idea he was pitching, which had to do with dementia. And for any of us who have experienced someone we love going through early onset Alzheimer's or dementia, it's a horrifying reality.
Mm-hmm.
And I backed that project 100%. But then he pivoted. And these pivots, we do as a matter of process and business. He pivoted to diabetes. But in my view, dementia is something that is both genetic and environmental. And diabetes can be inherited and environmental, but also based on one's diet and or lack of diet and control and exercise and wherewithal. So when he pivoted from the issue of memory and dementia or early onset Alzheimer's to diabetes, I lost interest. And while I'm on the scientific advisory board for Lifespan.io, I've been a little bit concerned about that, because I think the bigger issue, in my view, is dementia, which will affect all of us. No matter how long we live, it cannot help but go eventually to the brain and slow down that, whether it's arthritis first or whatever, in the peripheral nervous system attacks. And for longevity, our mind and our memory is so consequential. We can eventually build other bodies, etc., but it's our identity that is core to us. So I was a little bit took a back step to Lifespan.io when Keith pivoted to diabetes rather than dementia. Can I ask you your views on that, or if you have any views at all?
Of course, yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. Obviously, I don't want to speak for Keith, or I'm basically just staff essentially. But I will say what I do know is that I don't know about the diabetes thing, but I do know that the project that we're talking about with the NFT specifically is with Oliver Medvedik, and it is about Alzheimer's. So they're working on a headset that uses. I actually don't know the details because they've been kind of a little bit like they're literally just kind of getting started with it, as I understand. Mm-hmm. But that would be one of the things that we would feature in the film, and then the some of the money would go towards that research.
The bigger issue here is, I mean, we know that in the world it's different, but in the United States it's heart disease and diabetes, which take up the most monetary value. But in the world at large, and for a transhumanist perspective, it's our mind and memory, which is consequential to us. And we can certainly avert diabetes through exercise and health, even if it's hereditary, even if it's genetic. There are things we can do with foresight and fortitude. But dementia, there's not much we can do. No matter how many puzzles we try to solve, or how many languages we try to learn, or dance steps we try to make. Dementia is dementia, and it eats away at our brains. And without our brains, we don't have memory, and therefore, what's the use? So I think that should be core and fundamental to any longevity.
I agree. I don't want to speak for Keith, but I actually think he would agree with you. And personally, I fear that disease probably more than anything. My uncle had it. I've seen it. Yeah. It's awful. So I absolutely agree with you. I will be happy to relay, what you said to Keith, and maybe there's some follow up. But I do know that that's absolutely being worked on, as I understand it. So
okay, thank you, Tim.
I think Keith would probably say this, that diabetes or pre-diabetes actually makes it more likely that somebody will get dementia. So that one way to try and reduce the chance of dementia, until we have a comprehensive solution for it, is to recognize that there are these similarities between the conditions leading to diabetes and the conditions leading to dementia. I'd also say I don't think this is a fundamental.
David, I think that it's apples and oranges. I think that you are correct that it could lead to dementia, but I think that's apples and oranges. If we look at the percentage of diabetics, I've just
posted a couple of links in the chat from various research papers. So there is this statistical correlation.
16%. It's not very much. It's 16%. So, no, it's a good point, David, and thank you for bringing this up, because I think it's really important that we discuss and debate this. I mean, there's no one's arguing either way. I think we just need to get our facts as clear as possible. But if 16% of of those who have diabetes will eventually get dementia, that's less than 20%, whereas the percentage of elderly who get dementia is 99.9%. It's part of the age. It's part of the disease of aging. I think that Aubrey would say that probably far more articulately than I can. But aging not only affects us in our body as far as slowdown of muscle growth and bone density and arthritis and all these other sub diseases that we get, and we do, all of us. But the slowing down of neurological synapses and electrical charges in our dendrites and et cetera, is evident, and and usually it's the brain that's the last to go. So that's even the sadder point here. So I would look at dementia or memory loss, whether it's dementia or early onset Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is a separate disease from diabetes. But I do thank you, David, very much. I do respect your note that diabetes is a precursor potentially for dementia.
I believe
the other thing I'd say is that Lifespan.io are doing many other projects apart from this particular one. If there are question marks about this particular project, it shouldn't cause us to step back from supporting Lifespan.io. To my mind, they're doing a remarkable spread of different positive activities.
I agree with you.
I'm very glad that one of the first donations from THC was to Lifespan.io.
Yeah, I agree.
And Tim owns the patents apparently for the sensors, I guess. I think the algorithm to detect potential Alzheimer's and dementia.
You mean Keith, right?
Yeah, Keith. Sorry. Yeah, did I say Tim?
I mean, maybe
you guys can share it. Yeah.
Tim, do I have it?
Yeah. No, of course I will. I will second David's. Obviously, I'm sort of biased here, but I can tell you right now, like behind the scenes, we're doing a ton of stuff. There's a lot going on with Lifespan.io, and we're a lot of media initiatives. We just bought I think this is safe to say, but we just bought the channel Life Noggin, which has over 3 million subscribers. And so we're looking at ways that we can kind of do what they do and, sort of not completely transform their channel, but,
But let me ask you, Tim. I know I've lost Ryan O'Shea to you all. And,
yeah, Ryan's.
I know Ryan was my assistant. He was my second-hand person. He's ditched me for Lifespan.io, which I congratulate him, and that's all great. I'm happy for him.
Maybe that's where this is coming from, Natasha.
No, not at all. I'm on the advisory scientific board for Lifespan.io and have been since its early inception. So I've been around for a while with the organization. So no, I'm totally in support of everything it does, but I don't know where its money comes from. Do you? I mean, where is it getting its funding?
I get there's I'm not sure how much I know for sure, like if you go onto the page, you can become a hero, like a Lifespan hero.
Okay. So
they get a significant amount of funding just through that. And then, I think there are other avenues, but I don't know if I can say.
I know when I was invited to the scientific advisory board, I was questioned about transhumanism, and I know that Keith did not want to align with transhumanism, and that's something that I was reticent about. I think he was going more mainstream, where back at that time, this is 4 or 5 years ago, where there was a disassociation, and I hope that that's diminishing. And I think that the work that David Wood is doing with transhumanism over the past 2 years, since the UK Transvision, where there was a debate, is transhumanism a good thing or not? And I didn't understand why it's not a good thing. But since then, David's been really working hard in pushing forward transhumanist leadership and foresight and education and look at the social, economic, political structures without any partisan affiliation, which I totally love. So I think that David Wood's work stands out as consequential and really astute in this regard. And I hope that Lifespan.io will see that transhumanism is a good thing rather than something to steer from.
And Keith is definitely a transhumanist at heart, so I think
I think so
he
too.
personally holds Transhuman Coin.
For sure.
Keith is he personally holds Transhuman Coin, and I facilitated that direct sale with him as well because he couldn't get it in New York. So that's one of the things we're trying to.
I also know Peter. He said sort of offhandedly that you guys used to hang out in New York, and there was sort of like an impromptu transhumanist meeting at his apartment. So,
he did.
So definitely, as you said, I think at heart, I think he absolutely is. So.
Yeah. Oh, how wonderful! I love this. I love it. Thank you, Tim. You're such a dear. You are such.
Thank you.
We want to support you as much as we can, Tim, and with these NFT ideas, I think that's the third avenue we can support because as you and Tim are working through, Keith, are working through the ways that you're just embedding these NFTs into the movie. That could be part of the collection that we launch as the next collection. So, I mean, if that's something you'd be interested in, Bo, to work with Tim and Keith, that'd be a great opportunity as well.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you. I mean, I like I said, I think, I think we'll have a few more conversations. I'll have a few more conversations with Keith and with you guys and whatever you end up deciding. But that's kind of where we are right now as far as that goes. So.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us, Tim. We are keen to organize some airdrops for you directly as well. So just around that direct donation. So that's something that the Scientific Advisory Board would go through the approval process for, and Dr. Avinash would drive the voting process in SAB. So Natasha, if you're also happy to join the SAB, we'd add you to that list.
Oh, yes! Yay!
That's awesome.
I just sent you a message. I have to go because I'm sick. I have been sick for a week with this horrible cold, and I'm trying to cover it up like I'm not sick, but I really am. It's horrible. So I'm a little sick with my typing is terrible, full of typos because I can't see correctly out of my glasses on. But Peter, please send me an image, a link or something so I can add it to the Humanity Plus newsletter, which I hope to get out on November 1st. David, if you have anything going with London Futurists or any new updates and anything you're working on, please send to me so I can get it in the newsletter. Tim and Avinash, I'm going to mispronounce your name, and Bo, Alicia, and Charles, and all others, please send me anything. I'll put my email address here, and I want to get it in the newsletter because I really want to be more inclusive than we ever have before. We're a global movement. Let's recognize it.
Thank you so much,
and
Natasha.
Move forward with that. Natasha. Oh, I misspelled it. No, that's wrong.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, with a dash. There we go.
Yeah. I'll do it correctly.
Thank you so much, Natasha. It's such a pleasure and honor to have you here. And yeah, it's looking forward to collaborating. We'll send that through to you shortly.
Yeah.
Thank you, Natasha.
You all are lovely, beautiful human beings. Thank you for being here. You make my life worthwhile as much as my dogs. I have to say.
I hope you feel better soon.
Dante and Huxley are the prizes of my life, and being here with you all just gives me such hope for the future. So thank you very much, and I'll say good night now. So be well.
Good night,
Thanks, Natasha. Get well soon.
Thank you.
That's awesome. And David, we invite you along with the Scientific Advisory Board as well, but I think you're still sort of just making sure you're happy to be a guest for now as well. Up to you with that capacity.
Yeah, I'm happy to be a guest from time to time here.
Thank you.
I won't be able to join every time.
Yeah, you've got so many commitments, I can imagine. But yeah, I really appreciate your guidance as well. Definitely need that help with the factual basis and what Natasha mentioned, and things like that you're sharing here with us in this. Next part of the agenda. So Charles, did you want to talk about some of the airdrops and direct sales that we're organizing through the dev team?
Yeah. I think that actually is the responsibility of the SAB with regards to dropping to transhumanist leaders. And being in the meeting with David will give us the opportunity to offer an airdrop of THC to him. I don't think we've airdropped to him yet, right?
No, I'm going to decline. Let's offer that to somebody else.
Yeah, David's got independence, and that way he can say his objective in his assessments. Yeah, which is also good.
Yeah. So we've dropped to a couple of people, and with the direct sales, we began to start the transactions. You know, the last or the first, actually, I'm going to start from the first. The first was with a guy in the US. I think his name is Skip Sadiq. We've done a test transaction, and once we confirm his payments, Peter, I would wait to hear from you when he pays. Then we can go ahead
through my PayPal, will it?
Yeah,
come through. Okay, sure. And then once that comes through, you'll facilitate that. And I'll just transfer that to Jenny and the dev team.
Yeah. Then we can make a transaction, and we do the same with the rest of the guys who have applied. I think we have about 24 of them who have shown interest. Or 27, I think so.
Oh yeah, let me bring up the current listing. I think it's in the forms. We've got a results from the responses. So this is what the form looks like for the people that want to do direct sales. They would just populate, how much they want to buy, their address, the Telegram or mobile or email they want to be contacted with. And we've got about 27 responses so far. You can see they range from, thousands to dollars to, I'm not sure. Sometimes they probably get confused around what currency. I think we said US dollar, but I think someone's put in, like 10 million. I'm sure that's not US dollars, but I'm sure we can confirm. And then some of them didn't have their initial mobile or telegrams. So we've just added these two fields. But yeah, we can keep track with this column. So I think we're happy to start contacting these people. And we can go through that one by one. That's that process. So happy to use my PayPal, and it's just about then transferring it to them. And that's due to Binance Smart Chain in New York. They don't currently have a BIT license requirement, which is a very stringent requirement. And so people like Keith had to do this direct sale process, and we had to do that directly with him. Next part of the agenda is the in-person and virtual events. So we're organising an in-person event in Sydney, Australia, next Thursday at 6 p.m. That'll be also live streamed on YouTube. I think I saw an accept from Bo. We've got, I think, Avinash, I'm not sure if you're free. It'll be in the Surrey Hills central area. And Elise and I will be there. So we'll be able to share some drinks and also live stream and introduce Transhuman Coin to the local community. And hopefully we can find some more Transhuman Australia members there as well. And that way we can spread that movement here. But also we have an NFT gallery in Spatial. So I'm not sure if you guys have seen, we've created a virtual reality space that you can access through your PC as well, just your desktop. And we've loaded in all the I HODL Transhuman Coin artworks there, as well as the community artworks that have been facilitated through the Google Forms. So the community NFT application for the drops when the community version comes out is through this form. And you can see the responses that we've had is, I think we got about 62 responses with over 100 pieces of artwork. So that's all been loaded into the spatial space, which I think will be struggling with the how fast my PC can run. I've got a video here as well, which we can share. But this is the sort of responses that we've been getting. You can see all the Google Doc drives, Google Drive being uploaded. So all of them are from like community type artwork. We've actually loaded these into the spatial program as well. So let me just show you real quick what the spatial looks like. I've done a quick recording on YouTube. I'll pop the link in the chat as well. So this is what it looks like. So, just you can log in directly from your PC. I think that was Charles. That's Charles's NFT gallery there. So this is where we can actually host a virtual event. So we can have, I think, up to about 30 or so people in this spatial room. And we can actually have conversations. And if you have a headset, you can go in here with your Oculus Quest or anything like that. and actually have a discussion and talk about some of the artworks that we've got. So let me load in the special link here. And I'll add that to the list. Special. So I'm not sure if you guys want to do a virtual meetup for something for Transhuman Coin. Yeah, give that link a go to see if you guys can access it through your PC or through your VR headset. And once you're comfortable with it, yeah, we can arrange a time to have a virtual meetup. But yeah, Art, over to you on the advertising on the New York.
Yeah, can you pull up that website there?
Yes,
the New York Expo Metro?
Yeah.
Now, they're going to do a huge billboard in New York. I bought a few spots. It's $99 to advertise there on the spot. It's going to be a physical billboard, but they're going to have a QR code on the billboard where people can scan and go to the interactive website, and then you can see, a larger version of that image. And it's going to have links to the artist's website. And this is the first time they're going to create this composite image is going to be an NFT sell. So Expo Metro is going to turn this into an NFT and auction it. I think they said they're going to start off at 100,000 and try and auction this off. So this would be great for us to advertise our NFT marketplace. We can get a few spots. It'll link to the link where our NFT marketplace is at, and it's good advertising. It's in New York. Anything in New York is extremely expensive, so $99 for a spot is nothing. I've paid more for trying to get shown at a gallery than I get rejected. I paid like $75 one time to try and show my artwork at a gallery, and they said sorry. So $99 is nothing, to get a spot on this billboard. And the website, you can go to the previous expos they had. They keep this website up. They've had other expos in London and Berlin, and the newer ones are still interactive, but the older ones just point to the artist's website. But yeah, I think it'd be a good opportunity. I'm not sure how much has been spent on the Facebook advertising, but I would say if you would spend half that much here, it would be a great opportunity. And I've already put the details in the notes. 87,000, I think. Yeah, no, 70. Yeah, 87,120. If the NFT were to sell for 87,120, you break even. You get your money back. And because they're going to distribute the proceeds of that auction, like I have there. So, and then supposedly they're going to put it at 100,000. So you're getting your money back, and you're getting the benefit of the advertising. So
that's a great idea.
To me, it's a win-win. I've done it myself, and I think Transhuman Coin should also do it.
That's a great idea. What's the deadline for this one?
There is a deadline. It's November 10th. So,
okay.
So you've already got plenty of NFTs done. It's a matter of pointing it to a website that's not going to change. So as long as we have that domain name set, it's not going to change. It would be fine, because you don't want to point it at some website that's going to change, or a domain name that's going to change.
Yeah, we can raise this with Sai as well, Bo. So for one of those, the NASA collection ones, so we include it in here, or the iHodl Transhuman Coin, those photo frames, if we want to put one of those in there. Charles, your one could be in here. Yeah, up to the, I guess, management team as well.
The only thing is that they made me take out my website. I had the actual website name in the graphic itself. They said, sorry, it's not advertising. Right. It has to be your art. So I had to rework my graphics and remove the website part.
I see.
Yeah, she snuck it in somehow. I don't know. I guess maybe it's part of the art piece. I don't know. But if you look at mine, if you go down there and to the left, you can see my cowboy hat one a little bit higher.
Which row? From the bottom?
Yeah, go right there. If you go two more up.
There you are.
So yeah, they told me no advertising websites or anything. So I had to just put my photo of me there, which is going to be odd, but oh well. Who is this guy with the cowboy hat?
That's awesome.
So I was trying to advertise myself, but they didn't like the tech stuff. So
That's
I wish
awesome.
they would have told me earlier. They told me.
Yeah. Well, I hope they sell out as well. I hope they do, and that way they can.
I'm going to advertise it myself more so that they populate the whole thing. A lot of people have been hesitant. They say, "Oh, $99 is too much." I was like, "Have you shown at a real gallery what it costs just to apply?" I mean, maybe artists have only shown at coffee shops for free. You know, I think $99 is a lot, but you know, that's cheap to have that
great
on a billboard in New York.
Yeah.
So, and if you look through previous expos, at the top, there's previous expos. At the very top, there you go. And if you go to like London, so they still have the website up for the one in 2019 in London, and it's still interactive. So this is what the New York one is going to look like when it's completed, and it's archived. It's going to be archived on their website.
Oh, wow.
They have promo videos. They're going to promote it on social media. And then if you click those, they're still interactive.
So, that's really cool.
So it's going to be
I didn't realize they've been around.
Online advertising for many years, and all pointing back to one of our websites, which hopefully would be like the NFT marketplace. And it'll continue to work for us as advertisement. And like I said, potentially free with the NFT sale or the auction.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
It's win-win.
That's awesome. What are your thoughts, SAB team? Should we go ahead and put one of our NFTs in there?
Looks good. Looks good idea. I mean, I think it's a really could have a nice. I'm curious about. So they're gonna do like a 1 or 2 weeks of exhibition, physical exhibition, and then the forever on the website, right? That's what you're saying, Art?
Yes, it's a physical, huge billboard, and they depict it right there in that main screen.
And how long that billboard will be there? Gonna be there on that place?
So it's gonna be there like 18 days.
18, okay.
Yeah, okay. Which is a lot for New York. I'm sure it's costing a lot to put that billboard there. It's in a very busy spot, they say, of New York City.
Thanks for the recommendation, Art. I really like it. I was thinking that it would be worth it if we can take out a few squares. So let's just say it's like 8 by 8 even. It's 8 by 8. If it's $99, I don't know if that's even possible if they allow it. But if it's like $99 per square and it's 8 by 8, then it's around six. Let's just say $6 to $7 grand, $6.5 grand USD. So yeah, that could be worth investment. But then, yeah, look, I don't know. I'm more of a data-driven person, and I don't have data right now. But it's like, could we spend $6 grand on this billboard, or could we also put that $6 grand to use on other marketing channels, even like Facebook ads, Twitter ads, whatever? Like,
yeah, I'm not sure what has been spent on the Facebook ads, but I would say any percentage of that would be suitable to put here.
Could be a 2 by 2 or 4 by 4, because it looks like 8 by 8 was out. This guy booked out the 8 by 8 or 7 by 7. Yeah.
So anything that is like bigger, I think is worth it. 1 square isn't worth it, I don't reckon. It needs to be impactful, and you should actually create some sort of like a complete picture made up of different squares, so it actually stands out.
You would take a huge image and you know, segment it. It has to be 3,000. Each individual spot is 3,000 by 3,000 pixels. So you would have to generate a really huge image and then slice it up into those segments and put it in the appropriate spot to make the larger image. But whatever the board feels is appropriate to spend on this kind of ad would be fine.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's
out there.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. We'll put that into the Telegram chat around the budget, and then that we can translate that into how much we spend.
Okay, and after that, I was requesting some more information on the anti-volatility implementation that we voted on a few weeks ago. Has that been implemented, and is it working?
Yeah, Charles. So maybe just give some background on how that's embedded in the smart contract and the functionality that we have around the liquidity pool, and also how essentially we're able to, as part of the smart contract, enable us to blacklist and wallets. Is that what you're getting at as well, Art?
Well, I wasn't sure of what the details were. I know that we voted to implement anti-volatility measures. I don't know what they were. So you're saying it's a blacklisting of accounts?
Yeah, Charles, maybe just go through that, how that logistically works.
Great. First, it's been implemented. If you go to the bscscan.com platform and search for THC with the control address, I think Peter can just put that up for us on the screen. Thank you so much. No, bscscan, yeah.
Yeah, so the way we get there is through this click on contract. So you go to the contract, and that takes you to the Binance Smart Chain contract. And within this, you can actually go into the contract itself. So this is all publicly available. It's all open source.
Yeah. Then you click on right contract.
The right contract.
Yeah. I think it should be in.
Let me just give you control.
That's on the top. You see 3 tabs. Code, read contract, write contract.
Yeah.
Right
on the top left.
Yeah, there you go.
On the top left. Yeah, there you go.
Contract.
Yeah. Then you go down to number 12, line 12.
Max transaction amount. Okay, this is how we've implemented it.
Yeah. So what we did is we maxed the transaction amount at 12 million THC, which means you can't buy at once over 12 million THC, and you cannot sell over 12 million THC at in one transaction. You know, and that is literally to stop things like dumping and all that. Then secondly, on the liquidity aspect, you know, the direct sell campaign is to generate funds to add to the liquidity on package swap.
Yeah,
that is ongoing, and hopefully we're trying to raise at least.
Okay, so I wasn't aware that you could modify the contract after the fact. So you're saying it is possible to modify the contract after the fact?
Yeah,
it's more of a parameters of certain pieces of it. Yeah.
Okay. I see.
Yeah. And with volatility, which has to do with liquidity, we're still on it, which we expect that by the end of the direct sales from dev team, we should be able to boost our liquidity. But right now, I need to say this also. Right now, we're very comfortable to see that our liquidity is at least now 10% of the market cap, which is the standard, right? So when the paper hands we are selling a few days ago, they were actually helping us, because what we've had in the past was, you know, sitting with a very little liquidity with a massive market cap, which is also one of the reasons why CLC and the likes of CoinGecko were a bit careful in listing us. But with the balance we've achieved with the sell from some of the paper hands, we've achieved that. You know, we've been able to at least have our liquidity amounting to 10% of the market cap. You know, so
that's right.
That is also one good thing about crypto. It somehow corrects itself. You know, it somehow corrects itself in time.
I love how paper hands is now an official sort of category. But this is the liquidity pool art. So yeah, you would have seen number 4 in terms of the top holdings. This is the liquidity pool, which is I think
So that was
337 million.
That was increased from the dev wallet. Is that how you got more in there?
Direct sales, yeah.
Direct sales, okay.
Yeah,
yeah, and also every 2% of the transactions on Transhuman Coin boosts this liquidity pool. Okay. So over time, this actually grows naturally.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, looks like recent surge in the price as well.
Sales, with sales and with purchases, it helps the liquidity. Whether people are selling or buying, the liquidity is getting from such transactions. So with time, even if we don't put in more BNB into the LP, with time, the liquidity actually would grow naturally. I mean,
yeah, this is the Pancake Swap LP. So originally, when Transhuman Coin was minted, the contract was created. It was I think it was 1 BNB for 7 billion. 3.5 billion Transhuman Coin, something along those lines, and that's essentially grown to in terms of the liquidity pool, was only 1 BNB at the time, I believe. And now it's grown to, how many BNBs is this? It's, if you divide that by the price of Binance Coin, 100K divided by 500. So that's like 200 BNB. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So 200 BNB now. So it's 200x in terms of liquidity since inception.
Yeah.
So that's great. And as we grow, that'll continue to grow. And we want liquidity to continue to be able to provide that, because that'll mitigate all the volatility that we get from large sales or large purchases.
Okay.
Great.
And what I noticed in the past 2 days or a day or 24 hours is that when people sell, we no longer have that huge drift in market cap. A guy sold $1,000+ Before now, what would have happened was we're going to have a huge crash, But I checked the market cap and I discovered that the change wasn't quite huge, like before. Which means that organically, it's been able to, the system has been able to correct itself.
Yeah, that's right. That's the beauty of tokenomics and how this crypto works. It's got its own monetary policy. So with I guess what we were saying as well, the liquidity pool is 100% locked, so that prevents rug pulls. So that's all, that liquidity will always be there. And I think that's when we initially had that pie chart that was more than 100% with David. So it's like liquidity 100%, and it had up to like 200%. But yeah, in terms of how that works, it's the liquidity pool now represents
with those
10%.
liquidity locks, is that a third-party provider that does the locking?
It's part of the contract. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
use DXL. I think DXL. DXL doesn't. DXL. Yes, DXL.app.
That's where the locking of the liquidity was done here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we should probably bring back that link as well to the main transhumancoin.finance website, because that was there as well. And also a suggestion for newcomers, we should also include how to buy Transhuman Coin in here, because I noticed in the Telegram chat that same message of using Trust Wallet and Roku gets pasted like 6 times a day, and we might as well just put it on the website for them to see how that works.
All right.
We're going to have a bot also do that whenever there's a keyword mentioned.
Oh yeah, the bot.
Send a message, just with a bunch of instructions. Easiest way to do that.
Does the chat box work on the website?
No, not on the website.
No, the website, you mean this chatbot here? Yeah, that works. So this chatbot on the transhumancoin.finance website Just goes to
your,
Jenny, the admin. Yeah, it goes to Jenny and admin.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's not automated. I mean, it could have some automated.
Yeah, get some NLP, get some GPT-4 or something.
No, we can't do that.
Don't need to go that far, but
Usually with chatbots, it's already built in to the tool that you use, so it detects keywords and then it just replies with a common message.
That's what.
Yeah.
But I think it was more of the Telegram bot that prevented any sort of spammers into the main Transhuman Coin Finance. Hey, we're in the main chat. Thanks, Charles. Thanks for posting that. But yeah, I think we can include like Bo was saying what was the bot called for Telegram? The main one.
It's called Rose.
Combot and Rose. Yeah. One of those to mitigate any spammers.
Combot will be good because we really want to keep spam out of the channel. Rose is good for putting custom commands. Yeah, I think Telegram's the right way to do it. That's where people get their crypto information.
Yeah, I definitely need one because you can see how many spamming ones I get. It was Magic Doge. Oh, dude, so many dog coins. Anyway, so that's that. And then I guess finally is just other strategies to promote and donate circulating Transhuman Coin. Avinash, I think you want to talk about some of these
well, this is exactly what Art is just talking about, putting advertisement on the banner. But I'm also more aligned with Elise. I think ad on Google, Twitter, and Facebook might be more effective because it's pretty much global, right? But on the New York ad, it might be only for New York people. So I would suggest maybe we want to focus on this more compared to a physical ad. And an ad on Google or Facebook is really, really effective. I mean, if you look at the data behind them, they are really attract audience. But I think we need to create some short videos or some nice, images or animation sort of to put on the ad. I believe Alice agree with that.
Yeah, and maybe even we buy one of them for art just to test with. So it's a good experiment we can run to see.
I'm still, okay with that art one. Actually, we should buy like a 3x3 or like Alice also saying, little bit bigger square.
Yeah.
A combination of that. So that will be good, because one single image on the big board, I think it will lost. It will not able to attract your attention that much unless someone really looking at what they are looking for. So we need a bigger portion of that.
Yeah,
I think when we start with the marketing and if we're actually going to go to paid advertising, we need to define who our target market is first, and let's really be specific about it. So we could just start with geographic region, particular age group, particular gender, and then we can think about where do they hang out. So they probably don't hang out on Google, Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. So, for example, Charles, you might think that a really good target market is, I know some South Africans, for example. Where do they hang out? They probably don't hang out on these social media platforms. Could be something else. This is just an example, and that's probably where we can actually think about how we can allocate our spending. Because and then we got to think about, well, what is our budget and how we're going to allocate it based on what's the impact and ease of using something like that. We need to think about ROI.
I think I also need to say this. At first I thought with the cryptocurrency thing going on in Nigeria, I thought we were going to type into that, but I discovered that most of these buyers from Nigeria and West Africa and even some parts of Southern Africa, they are traders. They can't hold for a longer period of time. And I was disappointed. I need to say that I was so disappointed, and I just felt I think we should look, towards other markets like Europe, the Americas, and Asia. But from what I've seen so far, honestly speaking, we can't build, and it's also ideological, right? It's an honest truth. See, you can't build on top of people who are about the present and not about the future, right? And that's why I think we need to do a bit of education, because there is something that's happening in Africa, and it has to do with poverty. You know, it has to do with poverty, where the people no longer see beyond now. You know, no longer see beyond now. It's about now. If I don't find food, if I don't get something to eat right now, that is not worth it. You know, and they are willing to put in their life savings, all of it, into a project with the promise that there will be a multiplication when they wake up. And that's not what we're doing, you know. You know, that we're not a Ponzi scheme. We're trying to build something that is long term, you know, and that aligns with what Alice just said, that we need to begin to think about the right market and be more intentional in targeting that market. You know, I just need to say that, because the things we've seen in the past days, you know, has to do with the reliance on the specific markets. I think in our next phase of marketing, we should look towards other markets. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good point, Charles. So Peter put down transhumanists. Yeah, this is a good point. We should definitely be targeting them. Let's hone in on a particular segment of the transhumanists. And let's think about where they're going to hang out. Let's say we're going to target older transhumanists, because they probably actually have the funds to invest in Transhuman Coin. Where they're going to hang out, let's say Facebook. I'm just hypothesizing here, but we got to start with a hypothesis. Facebook, you know, older people like Facebook. That's actually, if we're actually going to be serious about this, let's target and actually, when you advertise on Facebook, you need to be specific about your audience. So we got to think about the location, their age group, and the interests they're going to put down. And let's do some A/B testing. So you're going to run 2 versions of an ad on Facebook at the same time, and you're going to change one variable. It could just be the copy, so the headline you're going to use, but you keep the image and the link the same for your ad. And then with A/B testing, it's really a game of let's beat the winner. So let's just say your first version does better than your second. You drop the second, you keep your first, but then you run another version alongside the first version. So you're always trying to beat the winner, just do better than last time. And then just think about, for your experimentation initially, just think about using a small amount of money. Maybe it could just be $1,000, or even less than that, $500. And you're just going to think, I'm going to use that $500 to do some experimentation to see if, am I actually getting any engagement from the target audience that I think will engage with me? And then actually see, well, are they actually clicking through, or are they actually buying from me? We've also got to think about, what's the goal? Do we want to just see click through, or do we want them to actually make a purchase? Keeping in mind that people don't usually make a purchase straight away.
I wonder how we can keep track of purchases. Yeah.
Oh, it's actually just built in to the system, and then you can use UTMs as well. So you use a combination of well, it depends how they're going to go through. This is because the current advertising processes, they're not built for crypto and for going straight through to DeFi. I mean DEXs to make purchases. It's only if it's easy to track if the purchase is made through your website. Then you can keep track using UTMs and also just Google Analytics, where you see if they're following a particular workflow. But maybe not purchases, maybe just engagement to start with is pretty good.
Yeah. So I think we should focus on Facebook and then do targeted marketing on Facebook. And
It's
There are also the Telegram shillers. Those guys who shill on Telegram.
shillers. Yeah, I'm not sure how much success are we having with shillers. There was a crypto koala on Twitter. You know, he shilled a bit. I'm not sure how much that returned us. Crypto moms and dads and husbands and wives and whatever there are. But yeah, I mean, it's sad to hear that Facebook is for the older generation now, which is probably why they pivoted to Meta. It's.
Thank you, Peter. Older generation. Thank you.
I'm not sure, David, if you have anything to say about that. What's your experience been in the London Futurists and promoting this to the groups?
I've only had very few adverts on Facebook, so I don't have any particular comments to make. My question would be, you say you want to target transhumanists, but many people don't know they're transhumanists in a sense. They are people who are actually sympathetic to the ideas once they're explained to them. But if you ask them to start off with, are you a transhumanist, they might say, what's that? So you have to figure out whether you're explicitly looking for people who say they are transhumanists, or rather you're just picking some of the criteria. But I like what Alice says. This should be done with the A/B testing. We'll have our own preconceptions, but let's figure out what actually is producing the results. So that, I think, is the way to go forward. And whatever we may think about Facebook and its detriments, it does have these great tools to make it clear which adverts are working. And there are enormous numbers of people on there. Not all the youngsters might be on, but I think a sufficient proportion are. So you'll be hard pressed to get a better medium to advertise than Facebook. I don't know if you're going to try YouTube videos as well. I don't know how that compares. As Elise says, we should be data driven on this rather than sentiment driven or ideology driven.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, David. Yeah, and onto that, with Facebook moving on to Meta, the metaverse type sort of initiatives, we could also apply like Decentraland. Elise and I, we attended the music festival that was there, and we talked to Natasha earlier about it, and they're in Second Life. And so, I mean, those people would already be crypto first if they were active participants in those platforms. And it's then also identifying that crypto users have that leniency towards science and technology, and hence transhumanism, like Vitalik Buterin on Ethereum, Cardano and Chris Hutchinson, and Pulse Chain with Richard Hart. So there's almost like a natural bridge between crypto adopters and transhumanism. So I'm wondering if that could be a starting point as well for you to apply the A/B testing.
And what's your data on whether people who are buying are first-time crypto users or whether they're already experienced? So is it typical that they will have other coins first before coming into the THC world?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Do you have that data?
Yeah. So we have 3,000 hodlers, and I've sampled about 300 of them as part of this I HODL Transhuman Coin initiative. So a majority of them are first-time crypto users. So they're going into our Telegram, going, how do I buy Transhuman Coin? And once they've got understanding of how to buy Binance Coin, which is what usually the first point of call through a centralized exchange, through Roku, they transfer that to their Trust wallet and convert it from Binance to Transhuman Coin on Pancake Swap. And the majority of them are based in Africa. So as you can see from the I HODL Transhuman Coin initiative, the volume 1, 2, and 3 are predominantly from Africa. So that's some type of data that we have.
And what's the metric that's more important, the number of people who become hodlers or the total amount of THC that's under hodling? I don't know what the word is. So it's not just number, is it? It's quantity, I guess, that's significant.
That's right. I mean, obviously, we want more hodlers, but quantity definitely matters.
I like that point you brought up, David. So it's either we go for the high volume but low quantity purchases. A good example is like certain countries, I suppose, or we go for they buy lots but less people buying. We don't know. I think we need to do some experiments.
Yeah, that'd be great.
In either case, the complication is you'll get indirect take-up as well, because you'll bring in some people, and they in turn will probably talk about it to their own communities or their own friends. I can see the scope for quite a lot of data analytics here.
Definitely.
Doing this professionally is could make a big difference.
We actually have a data scientist on the team, Stefan, in Australia. So we just met with him last week, bringing him on board. Yeah, that's great. So, but yeah, on Decentraland, there's a whole bunch of things that's happening.
Could I just add another idea? So there's a few, you could say, transhumanists / longevity enthusiasts who have also launched their own crypto projects, coins, DAOs, whatever it is. We should work with them so that we can use their community. But we got to make sure that they get something out of it as well. Because if they're already into crypto, it's an easier sell to sell them another crypto.
Yes.
DAO has done quite well, right, David, in terms of that outreach and adoption. So it's something we could collaborate with Paul Spiegel, who spoke at Transvision, and the team there, Tom, Keith.
Can you add Nifty token in? NFTY. It just launched. And there's some transhumanists in that team. And if we're doing NFTs.
Right. I think Bo's in some of those as well, right?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say something on that too. I happen to be very close to 2 projects, and they were just charity projects. The Orphano and the Otcan. The Otcan was focused more on autism, and the Orphano donated to orphans in Africa. The Orphano project at one point grew to over almost 500 million USD in market cap. It was massive. And the altcoin felt they could partner with Orphano. I had a chat with the guy who started the altcoin project. I think I sent some screenshots to you, Peter. You know, and what happened is once you combine those 2 communities together, you know, the community represents your market. You know, the community would begin to migrate from one. You know, they're very disloyal. They're going to start migrating from one project to the next and dump one and buy the other. So what's going to happen is that you discover that one of the projects at the end of the day will get dumped, like literally dead. And that was what happened with altcoin and Orphano. You know, altcoin ended up dying because of that merger or that partnership. And Orphano with time began to have issues technically because they need to migrate from their old smart contracts to a new one to enable the partnership, you know. And that migration, the logistics and the management of that transition had a major pressure on the project. A lot of people dumped, you know, it went from 500 million USD and crashed to 88 million USD market cap. And I think as of last week, I spoke to the founder, Maestro, and he told me, Charles, I'm so tired. You know, the partnership was my biggest mistake. And that was the same thing that the altcoin guy said. Peter, if you remember the chat I sent to you.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a bit tricky, you know, because you would think that crypto should have that partnership thing where big projects partner with smaller projects, you know, like we see in tech or in Silicon Valley, where, you know, there is that partnership that goes on and it helps the ecosystem. But in crypto, it's almost just different. It's the total opposite of what happens in the tech industry.
Right. It's good learnings.
Good point, Charles. So maybe for now, if we're looking at working with other crypto communities, we avoid partnerships. We don't even need to create bridges to other tokens. It's really just about let's market each other,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So good example is I got into Olympus DAO. They want to create a global stablecoin, so it's not backed by USD or some fiat. But then through Olympus DAO, a lot of people got into Climate DAO, which is like it's a DAO for buying up carbon offsets. And that's how a lot of people heard about Climate DAO through Olympus DAO and other DAOs.
Yeah. Makes
All
sense.
about the DAOs. That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's great. I think, good cautionary learnings from Orfano, and also, we'll keep it to the just cross-promotional marketing type initiatives for now. And we need to sort of get to our sort of steadiness as well as a community to make sure that we have that firm standing and foundation. And finally, I think it's just the Discord server. So Charles at Discord. Yeah, so Sai was really keen to have the Discord become active in light of the NFT token launch. So with the NFT collection coming out, he wants to create roles to have these available. So I'm not sure if Jenny will be able to just grant us. I think Jenny's on the line, actually. She can create these roles that I think Sai wants to have. So maybe we could just make Sai the admin, so he has a lot more control to set up how he wants this Discord community to flow. I think some of the things in the dev chat, he's already put some ideas around. For example, the Star Trek type roles. So it could be Delta Shields or interests, transhumanism interests like operations, sciences, medicine, medical or well-being. So yeah, some great ideas he's put in there. And some logos as well. But yeah, it'd be great just to give him admin control, and so you can set this up. Other than that, finally, actions from last meeting. So that was from last month. I think we've ticked off most of the things that Avinash held. I think we've corrected our discussion with David's on the London Futurist recording. So I think at the time we said each transaction was equal in terms of the distributions, but it's actually proportional. So the 2% to distribution to the holders is in proportion to how much they actually hold, and that was part of the contract already. And that's something we're looking to look at as part of the roadmap as we integrate with things like Future of Humanity, Proof of Humanity, to identify unique users. Otherwise, anyone could just set up multiple accounts and get that sort of equal distribution and game the system. Anything outstanding? Yeah, we did the Transvision, so that's all good. Look for opportunities to speak at Transhuman Coin in the future conferences. Oh, we missed out on Bradfest, but that was great to see that recording that was published live. The recording was published on YouTube. There's a few other conferences. David, I'm not sure if there's anything else worth reaching out to promote Transhuman Coin. Any other big upcoming events for the transhumanism community? It's been like so many conferences over the last couple of months.
None comes immediately to mind. Let me. They're happening all the time, aren't they?
Yeah. I think Singularity Net had their AGI conference. It was so awesome to watch with Ben and the AI experts jumping on board. Like Gary Marcus was there. Joshua Bengio, a whole raft of awesome AI.
Gary Marcus and Joshua Bengo were both very good at that conference.
Yeah, so good to see David Hansen's enhancements to the Animatrix as well. Anamorphic robots he's been building. Grace. So Singularity University is probably the next sort of the country partners. So Australia is a country partner to Singularity University. Same with South Africa. So Dr. Charles, I've put you in contact with Mick Mann, who's leading Singularity South Africa there. He also uses the banner Exponential Africa and also Singularity South Africa Summit. So there's definitely some opportunities we can speak at some of those events in South Africa. And Dr. Benji Rossman, he is a professor in machine learning and robotics at with scent, with water scent in yeah. So it's really keen to connect as well. I've been working with him through SU on things like universal basic income, because he's really passionate about the impact of his work and seeing the automation and the rise of that and how that can actually lead to a useless class. As David hosted the amazing author that was on the other day on the future of robots. His name escapes me. Martin Ford, that's right. He was one of our much needed readings when I was at Deloitte back in the working days.
I'm going to head off in a moment, if you don't mind. I think we've almost come to the end. I mean, there may be more to discuss, but the morning is calling me here.
Thank you so much, David. It's an honor to have you here. Thank you for your guidance.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I had a couple of questions and comments, but I think you're running things fine.
Oh, great. Thank you, David.
I'll see you around.
Have a nice day.
See you, David.
Thanks, David.
I'm probably going to follow David because it is 2:15 in the morning here. So,
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much again for having me. It was great to hear what's going on and meet all of you. So,
thank you.
That's amazing.
Great to meet you,
Thanks
Tim.
so much. Looking forward to our collaboration. Thanks, Tim. Say hi to
cool,
Keith.
I'll definitely touch base with Keith.
Bye, Nicole. I didn't realize you were on the call.
Nicole. How you doing? Didn't see you there.
Hi,
You
everyone.
want to say hi and bye? You're right.
Hi, bye.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Jabu, as well. Great. Okay, I think we've ticked off most of the things from last time. I've still got to reach out to Kyle, who's at Aging Decelerator. I might give him a call after this. So he's done it, he's been so busy networking with all the global longevity venture capital community. So that includes Apollo Ventures that he's just signed up to. So his Aging Decelerator looks at angel investments into longevity startups in Australia and broadly. So he's connected in with Be On Deck as well in the US, who just hosted George Church in their conference there. So yeah, we're just all trying to sort of connect the dots here, and I'm hoping to get Kyle on as a scientific advisory board member as well, because he used to work at Bupa. So it's one of the largest health insurance organizations globally. So he was the head of venturing.
Would it be okay to just go through the very important points that are urgent just for the rest of the meeting? So we might want to consider wrapping this up, because I realize everyone's been online for nearly 2.5 hours.
Sorry. I think we're, do you want me to just do a quick overview or just finalize the points that we had last time?
Yeah, just a quick overview of the very critical points we need to talk about. Otherwise, and if there's any action points coming out of today, and then I think we can wrap up.
Okay, yeah. So NFT marketplace, PancakeSwap listing, that's just in progress. So Bo's going to work with Sai just to get that website up and running, and then we're looking to have that be able to mint directly on the website, and that will then we'll be able to list on PancakeSwap for the secondary market as well. And also, Immortalist Magazine, Denora's reached out on Twitter, so we're just talking about when that interview will be, Charles. So I was trying to invite the scientific advisory board meeting to that as well.
Yeah.
Right. And Avinash, did you just want to talk about action points and how we want to work going forward?
So going back to a couple of things we discussed, especially about the ads. So what's the decision? I mean, we want to go ahead with the plan, what Eddie is talking about and Art is talking about. So we want to make decision now, or maybe...
Yeah, we might as well.
Maybe we can finalize now and we can take action on that. I would suggest that, rather than just leave it now and then we have again next week. Discussing the
Yeah. Okay. So let's do some A/B testing and let's go ahead with the Arts Expo as well.
Yeah.
In terms of how many we buy?
3x3 looks good, I would say. I mean, it's just optimal, not too big, not too small.
So that's $900.
Yeah, I think roughly, yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the action point for now, I guess. And another action point, I mean, if you go up a little bit, we talk about some grant scheme open for call for everyone. So I think we can also take action. I will, what I'm going to do, I think I mentioned this last time, but I'm going to prepare a rough draft based on this grant example I mentioned here. And then I'm going to share it. So that's action on me. If you like, you can put my name. And I'm going to share it to all of you, and so we can evolve it by the time of next meeting.
Yeah.
So we can also take this action.
Sorry. Yes.
I think NFT market and for the Keith and Tim, I mean, is there any action need to be taken or just update?
Yeah, so we just need to decide on the donation.
Okay.
So there's three things I mentioned. We could do donation, NFT, and assist with promotional to identify potential fiat donations as well for them, just through our network. Yeah.
What you have in mind?
Yeah, so it could be potentially a direct donation, but I'm not sure. Let's go through your evaluation criteria for this, because that would be a great first
that's
example.
good. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Okay.
And then so though if you think it's something that you want to work on, that's something you could work directly with Tim and Keith if you're interested in exploring some of those crypto ideas, NFT ideas.
Yeah, so we can definitely look into that. I will need to find the time. I need to
that's right, and also make it commercial for you as well, though. So in terms of how you get rewarded and acknowledged your contribution for it, I think there could be an arrangement we could put together as well for that work. So, and
sounds
including
good,
the work that you're doing here. So the 30%, I think most of that will go to you in terms of your efforts.
Yeah, I got a lot of projects right now, in between about 10 different things. So and uni, but after Monday, I'm like final year computing student, so it's very hard assignments that no one can do, and I'm not the only one. So once that is done, I should be free to focus on just my projects that I'm working on, which I can manage. University is such a drain.
Yeah, I think you're learning more from doing than the university project, but it's good to have that on your resume, just to get over it. But there's always an opportunity to drop out. You find the
I'm currently building Haskell.
Oh wow!
I'm building a programming language with Scala. So I'm building a syntax analyzer. I'm building a full-fledged programming language. That's my job.
That's nice. That's very cool.
I don't see why I ever want to learn to do this. So, anyways, just seems a bit. I'm at the point now where I'm like, it's getting so. They're trying to teach me things that I'm like, I don't really want to know how to build a programming language. I'm sorry, but anyways, I'm just complaining now. You can tell I've been I'm at the end of
a lot of things. Yeah.
I had a statistics exam today.
Oh, how'd you go? What did you think?
I got 100%.
What's the point? It's still easy for you.
Yeah, it's all right. Anyways, it'll be much better once come Monday. My world will be a bit different for me, and I will be able to actually plan around doing things, because I know if I put 4 hours of work in to something, I get 4 hours of output. Right now, I've spent 4 hours on building a programming language, and I get nowhere. So that's
awesome.
If I don't do it, Anyways,
that's awesome. I was just thinking.
I am working on
points here. Yeah.
I'm working on some other cool things that, you know, maybe in the future we can partner with transhumanism. Like I'm working on a business startup in the 3D. I'm building a metaverse product. So yeah, it might be very cool and something that there could be a partnership in the future. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well,
We've got a lot of work. We're talking with VCs and funding, and yeah, there's people already with like millions of dollars who are like, I want to give you money. So we've just got to, yeah, do some things.
Cool. Yeah, the volumetric displays. Just from that Facebook, you know, the meta, all the things they showed, and how the high fidelity, the level of the volumetric displays and the holograms they're able to introduce. Like that's still at the research stage, but it's advanced so much since the last couple of years. So yeah.
Yeah, we've got some cool things going on in that space.
Yeah. And I think in the other actions, direct sales, Charles, yeah, you're leading, and I'll just confirm if any of the PayPal payments, but you just make sure we go through that list. Airdrops. So there's this that I've put together for the transhumanist leaders.
There's platforms that do these things, airdrops.
Yeah, what's the best one you think we can use?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but like we won't write a contract for that. There's no point. Pretty much like half the projects on Binance Chain, for example, are like built by non-developers, and they just use apps and platforms and just copy contracts and stuff. So there's no development work required. There's definitely a platform to do airdropping for sure. Pretty much everything there's a platform for now, so no need to reinvent it.
That's right. So in terms of airdrops, like we could just do them directly. So we've spoken to the Singularity Youth faculty just yesterday. So Christina and Lisa, I think they're happy to get that airdrop. I'll just arrange, I'll liaise with them team just to confirm, and with the SAB that it's okay, and also the faculty. And in this sheet, I'll pop it in the chat as well. This is where we're just keeping track to make sure we're onboarding all the transhumanist leaders globally. So let me just copy this and paste it in the chat here. This is where I think there's other ones that are in priority, like Dan Gertzel and David Pierce and Liz Parrish. I think Dr. Charles will have to have a chat with through Gennady. David Hansen, I think through Ben as well. Max Moore, I think, we can bring Max on board through Natasha. Paul Spiegel, who's at Humanity Plus and Lifespan and Beta DAO. There's a whole bunch of people on this list that I'm not sure if we reached out to as yet, like David Sinclair, Naveen, Peter D. Manders from Singularity. But I think in terms of priorities, we can keep to these immediate opportunities to bring on board. Any other names you think we can add to this or arrange airdrops for? Just have a think. But I'll post this link to the doc. And I think that's it.
That's all, I guess. Yeah.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks for that long 2.5 hour slog. It was good hackathon almost. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Hope you have a great rest, and hope you feel better, Charles. I'll pop this video on the YouTube, on Transhumanism AU YouTube channel, and I'll share you guys the link in the chat.
Right.
Thanks, guys.
Sounds good.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.